long enough, you can just be like, oh, you know what? Friday afternoon, it's time to go. Or Friday morning, time to go.
Yeah. There's nothing. I mean, if I stick around, it's really just for show anyway. So it's like
it's just for show.
Achieving anything. It's not like I'm
wave
doing
the
anything
crowds, handshake, kiss babies, that kind of stuff, eh?
For show for the boss. I mean, just to make it appear to my superiors that I'm actually doing something. I walk around with a clipboard for a little while.
See, I imagine that you get out of your office and there's a throng of people just cheering, confetti everywhere, and you just wave and hold babies or stuff,
Sure. It happens a lot. My kids don't even do that, let alone listeners to the radio station.
I'm learning that from like the age of 0 to they don't ever start listening. So not looking forward to when he's going to listen less. Apparently he's supposed to be listening more now. I don't know.
Yeah. They listen more from, I think, 5 through 9 or 10, and then it all goes south again.
My 10-year-old started rolling his eyes at me.
Yeah. We're going through a phase where all three of my kids negotiate everything. Like, there's nothing I can say that they won't counter or negotiate or argue with or just not accept. Like, nothing. Even if I just say dinner is going to be at 6, they'll say, why 6? Why do we have to have it at 6? Why can't we have dinner at like 6:30? I'm busy doing stuff, or I want to catch up with do this to say. This is not a negotiation. This is like, that's when it is.
Yeah. You're there or you starve.
Yeah.
We have to keep a tight schedule, I believe, tonight, so maybe we should get the show on the road.
Sure, sorry.
Awesome.
Intense.
Normally Darren's a slave driver.
Well, see, the thing is, when Darren's not here, like last week, I just record the show and we don't stream it, so it's much easier.
Yeah.
Makes no difference to me.
My quality. Baritone.
Who's that? Yours?
Darren. No, Darren.
Yeah. Looks like. I hope that's not the case every time, because.
This is why we shouldn't stream.
Yeah.
So I can edit out the embarrassing bits.
Yeah.
Luckily, I wasn't abusing the listeners. Man, if it wasn't for the audience, it's so much. Everything would be easier.
Yeah.
Watch this. When we go live, nobody's going to be able to hear us. All right, let's get a sound check. People out there, sound check, please.
I mean, they've been hearing us the whole time, right? So
Sean Stryker said that nothing bad was said, so we're good.
Okay.
Oh, this time I know. Before though.
All right. Apparently the sound is good. Dramatic pause for Francois. Welcome everybody to CanHammer podcast episode 219. Did I get that right, Francois? Okay.
Correct.
Okay. I had 617 down on the overlay for some reason, and I know we haven't done 600 shows because I'd be about 70. But welcome, everybody. The podcast is back. I missed the salty Custodes Tau ranting last episode. I feel like it would have been awkward for me to be there, so that's okay. And and we welcome back Steve to the podcast. How's it going, everybody?
Good. Things are great.
No, everything's going well. I was just having a look at Francois' meta-chasing Eldar army. Assume he's got sick of Tau already, and just before that got sick of Custodes, and he's put all those back on the shelf now, and he's in with the Eldar.
I have some standards, so I would never touch Tau or Custodes.
We'll see. If Eldar doesn't perform for you, I'm just waiting to watch you jump on the Tau train.
So I did have a Tau army at one point, and then I played it twice, I think, and then literally just sold it because I was like, it's just boring to play. And now, because of my pretty renowned Tau saltiness, I don't think I could ever buy a Tau army because people would just laugh at me.
Yeah, if I recall, you bought an entire Tau army.
Oh
Commissioned.
no.
Oh,
No.
Steve. Oh,
So
that's
for those of
rude.
you listening on the podcast apps, Steve is just showing us on camera a Tau commander model.
He's succumbed to
I had
it.
a Tau army, but I was so ingrained that I even painted it in Space Wolf colors. So, like, but I had a Tau army similar to you, Darren. I had a Tau army for about 5 minutes. I played it twice, or 3 times, something like that. And I even got some celebrity help with how to run Tau. If there's one thing I hate, it's name dropping. Richard Siegler once said the same thing to me. But he was helping me out with how to play Tau, like giving me some tips and advice. And it's a dog. I could not. That's not. I like Space Wolves. I like charging, and I like the fight phase. And might be better at it now, but they were never very good at it when I was. Maybe I was never very good at it with them. But yeah, I couldn't make them work. So those are gone. But every army I've had, I keep one model. 2 models, the ones that I really, really like. So just as a reminder not to go back.
Ah, that's a
Probably
cool
more than
little
anything.
thing. Yeah.
Well, according to the stats, I'm sure they could work for you now.
Well, according to the stats I've seen, I'd be able to just play that one guy and still clean up most armies. Like if I
Yeah,
just put-
exactly. Yeah, exactly. You've got more than enough right there.
although I have a long history of taking S tier armies and making them perform like D tier armies. Like doesn't matter what I do. I'm a garbage player, so I put whatever I put out there. I'll go 3-2 at a tournament. I'll be happy.
Well, maybe we
I know.
could, sorry,
I'm
Nick.
kind of similar in that sense where we were talking about the Eldar book. Everybody's expecting it to be super broken. I'm like, don't worry, it's not going to be broken. They're like, how do you know? Because I've already pre-ordered $1,000 in Eldar, so we know it's not going to be broken. It's going to when I try to meta chase, it just won't work. So then it shows up, and everybody's like, yeah, it's okay.
As soon as your models arrive, they'll nerf it. They'll take the whole book.
Yeah, exactly. They must have rewrote it in like 3 weeks. Yeah.
Well, it's tempting for me because near the end of like the last charity hammer I went to, I ended up buying like a Seer Council, and it took me months and months to paint that through the pandemic. And I think I might played it one time against you, Francois, maybe.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
And I wasn't very good at it. It's obviously a difficult army to play. And I have a bunch of Eldar models, but I never managed to get them all done. And then they all have gone in storage now. But now it's like, now like the Phoenix, what are they called? The dudes with all different colors.
Yeah, the Phoenix Lords or the Aspect Warriors.
Yeah, like they seem pretty cool. Like you can play an army with like a bunch of dudes, different colors and stuff. That seems like a cool, fun way of playing Eldar. Although I like hate playing against Eldar, but I do have some Eldar, so I'm like, and now Francois wants to buy it off me, which is always suspicious.
Oh, I was gonna say I'll buy it off you.
It's always
I've already
suspicious.
I don't even know what you have, but I'll buy it.
I love the people who have an army that they want to sell. They're way more patient than me, so this is props to you people if you're doing it. They have an army that they want to sell, and they wait and they wait and they wait until that army becomes the next big thing, and then they drop it. Then they go, okay, now it's up for sale. Shout out to my friend Aaron who's selling his Eldar army at the moment.
I get the pretty good money for my Custodes army right now, probably.
Probably. Does anyone want to buy Space Wolves?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm really good at selling them real cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. I'm just like, I want money now. I'll sell what I got now, and it's just like usually right at the bottom. Like I sold my Tau army like when no one was interested. So somebody got a great deal, and now they're going to go and wipe everybody with it.
Unless it was all Riptides.
To be fair, there were 3 Riptides. Yeah, so
well, everybody
a
had 3
sucker.
Riptides.
Yeah.
Back in the day when you could bring your 3 Riptides with almost any other army in the game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just that was the appeal. Just get 3 of the same model, paint those, and a whole heap of drones, and you're good to go.
Yeah. So how's it going, Steve? You got any events coming up? You prepping anything?
We've got a couple of things going on. There's a small group of us, and I'd love any help we can get with this, any advice, any feedback. There's a small group of us in our town that are starting to put on events. We had one, I got into it by taking over a couple of small events that someone else had planned and then couldn't do.
Yep.
And I just thought, well, let's have a go at this, what it's like, see if we enjoy the process. And luckily we all did. Running events is really cool. And I found the hardest thing, other than terrain, we all know that slowly building the amount of good terrain you can get is like well documented as the toughest thing. But most frustrating thing when you're running an event like a Warhammer tournament, a 40k tournament, is getting an even number of players. Like invariably, you just get it to there, and then someone has to go. And look, people have things in their lives they drop. Like, okay, now one of us three organizers is going to have to sit out, or we get a Gumby player in, or whatever you can, whatever you do.
Yeah.
Just getting to the day with an even number of players is going to be the most difficult thing.
Yeah,
we've got an event coming up.
Ringer.
Yeah. We've got an event coming up April 9th and 10th, and we're doing it at a place that has a bar and has food available, and it's going to be a great couple of days. Really, really looking forward to that. And got a guy who can be the TO for the 2 days that we're there. 40 players, not massive, but big, big enough for us just getting started to do the job. Mm-hmm. But the main motivation for me anyway to do this is just so that I get to play. So the idea of going to an event and not being able to play because you're the organizer is kind of be counterproductive. So luckily we've got a guy who's come on as TO, and he's going to run the thing for us for the couple of days, which means we actually get to just roll dice and have some games.
Well, I know your pain about not being able to play because you run it. We've got the CanHammer team tournament coming up, and if you think getting even number of single players is a pain in the butt, wait till you got either teams dropping or like one or two dudes from a team dropping. Oh man,
yeah,
it's a pain.
Yeah, it's a whole another level, right?
Yeah. Okay, well that's cool. But so you get to run the event, but you still get to play in it. That's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I'm kind of the admin guy, so I'm kind of doing a lot of the, just the communication, emailing, letting everybody know where you're at, getting the players packed together, doing all that sort of stuff. I did work on the logo, and now we've got someone who's taken over doing that properly. A lot of the background stuff, and luckily, I'm not a good enough player that anybody thinks I'm in danger of, winning the thing and also being the organizer. Although the other two guys on the team of organizers are both very, very good players, so it'll hopefully neither of them gets a podium at the event. But it's just love going to tournaments. I really, really enjoy going to tournaments. Right since day one, since the very first event I went to, I was like, this is it. This is the fun part. And painting, I enjoy painting, but mostly these days I paint to get armies ready to go to an event. And that's what it's all about for me. Just the social aspect at the events and enjoying being there. So we had a couple of guys who were doing almost all of the events around our town. There were two men running all of them. Both of them dropped out at the same time. One left town for somewhere else, and the other one had been doing stuff for 20 years and had just had enough and said, that's it. So we said, well, let's do it. Like, if we want to play events, someone's going to have to step into the breach. So just said, let's let it be us. We'll do it. So we're running events now. But it is fun. I have to say, I enjoy the process and enjoy being there and have been part of it. Being part of the whole process is good.
Are you guys running an ITC event?
We have spoken to them about getting a token. I don't even know what that means or how it works or what it gets you. Or traditionally in New Zealand, we just haven't worried about it because I feel like we're so far away that it's like, what does it matter? But just to get on the same page as the rest of the world, we've applied for an ITC token. We might not get one. We might, I don't know. They might go, God, that's Steve Joel's involved. We're not giving them any cred or anything. So
right into the spam filter. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's interesting is because the ITC and GW are kind of in bed now, and so they put out this call for TOs running ITC events if you want to apply for GW support, quote unquote support, and so. Us here, having run, Canada's biggest tournaments for a number of years and never getting a single reply back to any emails from GW, let alone support. Apparently now we're in this process, and who knows where that's going to lead? Probably nowhere. But who knows? I'm
such a cynic, Darren. Such a
Yeah,
cynic.
yeah.
Wow,
Give him the
once
chance,
so young.
man.
Look at that. It's just wow. That's we.
Well, now
well,
they're
I
not.
don't. That's right. I don't know if you know how to get favors from people, but giving them a hard time on a podcast doesn't usually do it.
Yeah, yeah,
they don't listen.
exactly.
They don't listen.
If you tune in, shameless plug, if you tune in to the latest episode of 40K Game Changers, hear a conversation between me and this other guy who hates people name dropping, my friend Reese Robbins from LVO and the ITC, and I actually asked him what it means, for tournament organizers and tournament goers. What does this whole thing mean going forward? What are we going to get out of this? And according to Reese, the deal is, so far, it means product, right? That already at the LVO and other big events, people are winning armies and product, and it's the level of support at this stage. Reportedly, it will be, according to Reese, international. And next year, they've got some other plans in the works that obviously he couldn't say anything about at this point. But it does look like there's some stuff happening, and that the whole point of it from Reese's side of things anyway was they want to be able to do this prize support and product support and being able to give stuff away and offer things. They haven't had the resources to do that, and now they do. And that's the reason for being.
Yeah, I got to say it's promising. So like you get directed to this page and you have to fill in all your details, what your event details are. You have to link to prior experience or events that you've run. And then you have to sign this terms and agreements thing, which includes a list of all the product support that they would pledge to give you, which includes, like you say, whole armies. And so, like, it's actually serious, whereas before I was just waiting for, like, an email from, like, I don't know, Mike Brandt or something. I don't know. I don't know what I was waiting for before, but this is, like, a serious kind of undertaking. So who knows? Who knows?
Well, you better apply to that, because I know Francois and the rest of my team and I want some serious, product when we win CanHammer,
Yeah.
Francois doesn't have enough armies, so let's get him some more product, man.
He doesn't have
That's what he needs.
custodies, so...
He doesn't have any Chaos armies, and I know he's reluctant, but once the Chaos Space Marine comes out, that book comes out and it's broken, he'll be like, am I a Chaos player?
Straight in.
Yeah.
I can't ever buy a single Chaos model because I have very poor impulse control, and if I buy one Chaos model, I'll need the entire Chaos range, and that's just not an adventure I need to go down.
I'll be the catalyst. I'll buy him his first model. I'll be like, oh, Francois, look at this. A little battle box. Oh, I won't do it. $3,000 later.
I really want Francois to win an event and win, a whole Tau army, basically. Now that he said he could never play it, it'll be like, oh man, this is this.
Yeah, I guess Chaos is next.
No, Tyranids.
Tyranids, yeah, and then probably
Year of Chaos.
Isn't this supposed to be the Year of Chaos?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're only into March. We're only a quarter of the way in.
Yeah.
Wait, we're only at 2022. The Chaos doesn't get anything yet.
Well, you have to remember,
yeah.
This is actually supposed to be 2021 releases, so
2023. Here we go. Year of Chaos.
So speaking of game changers, I wanted to chat. Hopefully, we can chat with you, Steve, about your episode with TJ. And
oh, crikey!
Yeah, straight to the gusto. Now, I thought it was an amazing.
Did we warn Steve about this, or are we just ambushing him with it?
No, I can't work under these conditions.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I was just to say that I thought it was a great episode. And TJ is a regular up here, has been a regular up here at Canadian tournaments for as far as I've been back into 40K, way back to like the first CanHammer team that I went to. He's always been up here, comes to regularly across the border, and never really had any problems with him as far as I remember up here. So I thought that was a very brave episode to do, and I thought you did it really well. Just that's what I want to say. But like, how did you come up with that as a thing?
Well, actually, that's a great question. How did I come up with that as a thing? I would say that prior to doing the episode, I never had anything to do with TJ. I never met TJ. I didn't have any preconceived ideas about TJ. I knew that he was part of the Art of War lineup ages ago, and at that stage, I was already kind of, had a little bit to do with Nick and some of the other guys. I think the only prior communication was I was trying to get a Chaos Army started, a Chaos Demons Army, and he was running a sit and chat thing on the Art of War, and I asked a question and he answered it, and that was the only prior communication. I did think, look, and to make this clear, like I said at the start of the episode that people didn't listen to before they climbed into me, a lot of people who were throwing shade at me or giving me a hard time about it didn't actually listen to this, and they were just wanting to let me know that I was condoning cheating. And I wasn't. I'm not in any way condoning cheating or trying to glorify cheating or even forgive. Well, no, wait, that one maybe. But he cheated. And he admitted it, and he admitted it to me, and he's admitted it to other people. He cheated, and he did this big apology that then kind of got twisted and turned around. And then I think the reason I came up with it was because there's just enough garbage in the world at the moment, and there is so much going on. Geez, especially right now, around Ukraine and Russia. There's still a thing, and probably more of a thing now in New Zealand than it ever has been before. Like, we kind of a few months behind everybody else with getting this big wave. It's just so much going on, and I just felt like this is a game. This is Warhammer 40,000. It's a hobby. It's a game. It's something we do to enjoy ourselves. And the guy took his punishment, and from all of the people who are directly involved, not the people who are picking up rumors from outside, but the people who are directly involved, my understanding, he took his punishment, and then even more than, he stayed away from tournaments for longer than was required, and then started to come back. All he's getting is shit constantly, wherever he goes, and people are taking photos and posting memes and whatever. And I think I just got to a point where I saw one too many. He was at the LVO, someone took a photo, posted it online, and said something about being a cheater and gave him a hard time, and then people climbed in the comments. It was just that thing of or wanting to tell the other side of the story, at least. Mm-hmm. Is he a game changer, and therefore does he qualify for the podcast? I don't know. You can debate that. But it really was just this idea that everybody's opinion on it was entirely based on rumor or something they'd heard, or just this very heavily edited video that you are told what to look for when you're watching the video. So you even go into that video with, oh, now I know what I'm looking at and what I'm seeing. And all of everybody's opinion came from that. And he had not said anything, done any interviews, talked about it at all. And I just thought, maybe we get his side of the story, or at least try and balance it with maybe something that is, I don't know. You know what I mean? That was kind of the whole motivation for it.
So have you received like a lot of shit for doing that episode? That seems crazy in my mind, but not surprising maybe.
It depends on a lot. To be fair, it's been very... I've had several personal messages from people who said it was great, people I don't know, people I've never met, but people who messaged me to say that they really thought it was a good episode. And I've had several messages from people who said that I shouldn't have done it. A couple of people particularly messaged me and said, you should not have done that episode. That is not okay. And when I brought up freedom of speech, one guy really got stuck into me and gave me a hard time. Apparently, you can't say freedom of speech unless you're actually American. It doesn't apply around the rest of the world.
Yeah. Only if you have freedom dollars.
So, yeah, that's right. So anyway, I did get a hard time, but not from as many people as maybe I thought I would. And look, there have been moments when I've thought maybe I shouldn't have done it, but only because, is he a game changer? Normally when I ask people on the show, I have to go through that process of asking myself, do they actually qualify as someone who's influenced the game either behind the scenes or as a coach or whatever? And I think he has had an influence on the game, particularly rules changed around cheating and around punishments for cheating, and clearly he's been very much in the public eye for what he did. And that has influenced the way people who people are playing on stream, the way they're treated and the way they're seen. Certainly, it had a negative influence on his coaching and probably a lot of other people's coaching at the time. So, yeah, I think he qualifies as someone who's had an influence on the game, positive or negative, up to you.
Yeah. No, yeah, kudos on that episode. I mean, the episode itself is a game changer to talk about these things, really, and not just accept that the Reddit comment streams are de facto, fact, and that's it.
That's the truth. Like, I mean, when this first came out, so I knew TJ a little bit better, but like, I mean, at this point, I'm not sure he'd be able to recognize me out of a crowd. We had dinner before and stuff. We played against him at CanHammer Team Tournament. The last time it happened, his team, we lost narrowly. And the game he had, it was like it was a blowout. He destroyed our player, but our player never mentioned anything. He said it was a great game. It's just, he made a big mistake. Dice rolls were dice rolls, and he's like, he had no issues. Yeah, we had a great time. We went out to dinner with the team after. It was a great time. So yeah, that's like kind of my disclosure. So when I heard all of this, I went through, I watched the video, I watched each point, and I'm like, some of them were like, well, I don't know, like from the video, it's not that clear what the dice roll is. And then this other point, I was like, oh, I mean, the rule literally 2 weeks ago or whatever was different in the way he's playing. And I don't know, to me, it wasn't this massive example of like just consecutive cheating at one after the other. Should he have rolled dice, more openly? Whatever. I think it's what came after that was just so shocking. And like, you're right that many people were just regurgitating what was kind of put online without having actually done any of their own work. And I mean, shocking, we live in social media age, people not doing any fact checking or not doing any research and just regurgitating online. And just, I wonder where that kind of vitriol comes from, because, you can do something bad and it doesn't make you a bad person, right? There's not one person living on this planet right now that hasn't done something that they've regretted, that they knew was wrong at the time, and yet still did it knowingly. And they live with that. Some people's obviously more significant decisions, others less significant. But nevertheless, we've all done stuff that we're not proud of. And I think we owe it to each other to give each other a little bit of a break, particularly when it comes to a game, like when, I mean, like you said, I got thousands of dollars of Warhammer in my office. My life centers around talking to Warhammer everybody. Like, I've taken it very seriously, but at the same time, we have to like get down here a little bit and acknowledge that people like TJ are people, and they can make mistakes. And I think what's more telling is if they're willing to own up to those mistakes and make changes and be a positive influence for themselves and others. To be like there is a way to redeem yourself, and it's surprising. When I listened to your episode, I thought it was very balanced. I thought it was, you're not blowing smoke up his ass. You're not, oh, TJ, don't worry about it. You're getting in the trenches with him. Like, what happened? What's going on? Like, what's your perspective? What do you want to say about it? And I think it was amazing. And I think that's kind of some of the coverage we don't get. I mean, there's 4,000. Yeah, there's 4,000 podcasts you can go to learn about what the best book is. There's only one podcast you can go to know what's really happening in the community, and that's yours. And I think it's great, and I think it's shameful a little bit, people giving you a hard time over it, and maybe it's more indicative of what's going on with them. And you hope they find some peace at some point.
So I think that maybe leaving TJ's specific case aside for a second, I think it's important to talk about these things, and if nothing else, to discuss these situations, because there is kind of this whole, and this is not healthy for the game, right? This whole, this guy maybe did something, I'm gonna go create some drama on Reddit about it, and then he's going to get a reputation, and you don't actually, it's not like there's a process, right? But I think if the game wants to move forward, as it seems to be doing towards a more established, maybe trying the esports angle a little bit, we're going to need a better way to address those problematic situations, and what is the proper punishment, right? I think part of the issue is there is no clear, this should be the consequence, right?
Yeah.
If there was maybe a more, maybe not global, maybe just regional, but kind of a system of yellow carding and red carding across tournaments or circuits, You could say, well, okay, this guy did something bad and he took his punishment and now the punishment's over and move on. Like, it's maybe too easy a metaphor, but you look at sports and in hockey, you're not supposed to fight. When you fight, you get a penalty. And if you do something bad enough, you get a suspension for a few games, right? But after that, it's over. And I think
if you've never seen hockey before and you're watching it, you would think it's part of the game.
Well, it's, as a New Zealander, like we have ice hockey a little bit, but I didn't grow up watching ice hockey. I don't know ice hockey. I thought fighting was the point of the game. The only time I've ever seen it, like, I thought it was just part of it. In fact, sometimes you watch and you go, that guy body slammed a dude and nothing happened, and then he seemed to just lift his stick too high, and now he's off for 2 minutes. I don't understand what's going on.
I think they've changed it recently, but historically, yeah, you used to like get players for their ability to fight and bully people.
The goons.
So anyway, the point being, sorry, Francois, the point being that you get penalized for certain offences, certain infringements. It's the same in any sport, right? You have and you would say, like, they are trying to cheat, like they're standing a little bit offside, or they're just pushing the envelope, is how they would say it. And if you're on the opposing team, you'd say they're blatantly breaking the rules. But for that, they don't get banned for a year, unless it's, biting someone's ear off while you're boxing them. You get yellow carded or red carded or in the sin bin for 2 minutes or whatever it might be. You might get stood down for a game. If it was Warhammer, it might be that you're stood down for a game or a whole nother tournament, or that you're not allowed to get any points from this event, or whatever it might be is the punishment, or just a warning yellow card if you get caught again. And I do think, I'm jumping all over what you were trying to say, but I do think one of the other things is in our game, and that's what it is, a game. And a classic example is the tournaments that we're organizing. All of the people coming to this event, people I know, right? And I'm not for a second suggesting that the TOs at the events TJ's been to would have a hard time yellow carding or red carding them. But I do think it's really tough sometimes. You go, I still want people to like me, and I want them to pay, and that they've paid to come, and I want everybody to have a good time. I don't want to yellow card people unless it's really serious. But we've actually got to, for the sake of everyone else there, we've got to have a system of, here are the rules, and if you break the rules, no, we're not saying that you're a dirty, rotten cheat, but if you break the rules, you get a yellow card, and don't do it.
Well, this movement really started with the Tony Grippando thing, like a few years ago or however many years ago. And then out of that quite monumental effort for a period of time was the ITC Code of Conduct, which, is its thing, and whether people use it or not is not really necessarily universally applicable. And so I got to wonder whether now getting into bed with GW putting their names on events, whether they take up the baton of some kind of a more internationally utilized, system of punishment or whatever, penalties, or I don't know. Like, I wonder if that's going to be a thing that comes out of this partnership.
So you started this. Did you have a thing you were trying to get to with it? Sorry, before I jumped in and crushed it.
No. I just wanted to applaud you on the episode because I listened to it and I thought it was a great episode. So people should listen to it because I think it's important, as Francois says, at this time of the game right now. I think it's important that these things are not just people are not just badmouthed and pushed under the carpet, but
Yeah, there has to be a better way than the lynch mob, and there definitely has to be a better way than that.
Yeah, and sorry. One more to come up with that way, and we haven't.
Yeah, one more thing I did want to just chuck in here, because again, for people just to make sure they understand me clearly. When we've been referencing, as Nick was referencing, mistakes that TJ made, I want to make it clear that I am not saying in any way that he made mistakes by rolling too many dice. The mistake I think he made was he was cheating in that game. He was rolling behind terrain. He did things that he possibly, maybe in his mind knew were not exactly correct. And I think that's the mistake. The mistake, if I refer to a mistake in the podcast, if you listen to it, it's the mistake I'm talking about. The mistake of going too far, pushing the envelope too far, maybe stepping over the line. He recognized that mistake and he apologized for that mistake of he calls it in my podcast. He called it cheating, and that's
The
what he called it when he
mistake was cheating.
apologized. Mistake was, and as he says, it kind of feels so harsh to call it cheating when it's picking up 4 dice instead of 3, or miscounting the wounds. Which, God, haven't we all done that sort of thing? Accidentally leave a couple of dice in there because you don't see a 3 for a 2 instead of a 3 or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things where, but you've said, Francois, we don't have a system of penalizing necessarily. So at the moment, what it is it's cheating.
I think we should normalize penalizing. Let's call it infractions rather than cheating, maybe, because that's a loaded term, right? But intent shouldn't matter, because I've definitely made mistakes in games before. I've picked up a 2 when I thought it was a 3, right? You roll dice, you go, I got 5 hits, but in fact you had 4, right? We've all done that.
There's going to be a Reddit post about it tomorrow night.
None of us. Hopefully, we don't. Few of us do it on purpose. Hopefully, some probably do. But whenever something like that happens, I think maybe not to that extreme, but there needs to be a normalization of consequences, maybe, so that it's not immediately you're a terrible person and we're going to lynch you on Reddit, right? It's okay. So you committed an infraction, and the intent doesn't matter whether you did it on purpose or not. It impacted the game, so you get your penalty, whatever your points taken off, or your yellow card, red card, however we want to do it. But if we had a system like that normalized penalties for infractions, let's call it that, like any sport, right? Perhaps we wouldn't be in this situation where people get dragged by a mob with pitchforks and torches, right? I don't know if I'm making sense here, but I do believe that's important.
Well, I do think that regardless, like, that's the wrong way to do it. It's not basically cyberbullying an individual incessantly for a year after. Like, he committed, like, that stuff happened in April, and people are taking photos of him in January at LVO. Like, how inappropriate and wild is that somebody feels like they should be doing that? I mean, it's interesting that they are shaming TJ for having cheated in April, but are not looking on their own actions of taking his photo. Obviously, it's not by, you probably didn't condone that, putting it online, and then going on and bullying him. Like, no, but that's okay in their mind. So obviously we're not working with a population or some members of this population that are kind of have it all together. I think, honestly, Steve, if there's any consolation, if people are private messaging you and giving you crap, it's an indication that you've made it. You're Warhammer famous now.
You're Warhammer famous. We're just on coattails, man.
I don't know. That's why I wanted to become Warhammer famous. I don't know.
Just to get cyberbullied by nerds. Yeah.
I do. I think that was when you said before, why did I do it? I think the death threats might have been the thing that, you go, I get angry too. We all get angry about some stuff in this hobby. You want to be angry about someone cheating, fine. Be angry about someone cheating and bringing the hobby into disrepute or whatever, or just because maybe I don't know, whatever. But you get angry if you're a Chaos player because you guys still only have 1 wound. Get angry about that. Or when you're playing Eldar next and they can just break most of the rules in the rule book just because they're Eldar, get angry about that, whatever. But it's kind of an anger at a level like, why I order, but death threats is like, what? How the hell does that even fit in the same conversation?
Yeah.
So in the last 10 minutes or so, because we need to let Steve off on time tonight, we're going to finish off this hard-hitting episode. And I'd really like your opinion on this, Steve, because you're a educated, intelligent, articulate person. And also, obviously, Nick and Francois' opinion, too. So right now, obviously. So right now, the WTC is cogitating banning Russia from this summer's competition. And actually, the question just popped up on the chat as well about this, about our opinions on whether they, maybe not if they should or not, because at the end of the day, we don't really have a say. But do you think our game is at a point where we can consider such a thing like FIFA has done, or, F1 or the IOC? Like, we're definitely not like those kind of organizations, but like, is it a symbolic thing that we do that or not? Like, have you guys thought about this topic? I thought that was really interesting when I heard about that.
me, and I'm not speaking for anyone else, but from my point of view, I would reference the movie The Lorax, or the Dr. Seuss story The Lorax. The only thing really, really going to mess this quote up, but you get the idea of the reference I'm going to make, which is for bad things to happen, good people just need to stand by and do nothing.
Yeah.
It's happened so many times in the world, right? Will Vladimir Putin give a rat's ass that Warhammer 40k people are standing up? No. The people that are going to suffer, the Russian 40k players, probably. We have to draw a line in the sand and say this line cannot be crossed. We do. So 100% we have to say to Russia, you can't come. As long as it's got to motivate the Russian people to, in any little way, if we show acceptance of what has happened, then that is not okay for me, in my book. I'm saying we can't stand by and say, yeah, come on in. We still think you're okay. That's just, I don't think that will work. And I think that if it didn't act hard enough or fast enough, if you want to bring them into the conversation, there are nations in the world, Brazil, for example, who have refused to condemn the action. We've got to condemn it, and we've got to draw a line in the sand, and we've got to say, no, we will not accept this. And we're only a little community. We're only 40k. But look, as a New Zealander, I have a long history of knowing that little can actually still make a difference if there are lots of little people standing up and saying no. If there are lots of communities our size who say no, then eventually it's a big community, right? So, yeah, I look from my point of view. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And I know this conversation's happening, and I don't know what the WTC will decide to do. But I think that we're seeing, if you just take a step back and look on a larger level, like lots of organizations are starting to do that. I read on Twitter just before the show that CD Projekt Red, the game company, the company that made The Witcher and Cyberpunk, they decided to stop selling their game in Russia, right? So again, you might think to yourself, well, what does that do, right? That Russian gamers aren't going to be able to play The Witcher anymore. What does that have to do with Vladimir Putin? And the answer is it has nothing to do with Vladimir Putin, but it sends a message to the Russian people that this is not okay. And you and the individual 40k player in this case are not responsible for the invasion of Ukraine, obviously, but your collective nation is, and something should be done. And now we understand that Russia's not a democracy. It's not like they may have voted for Putin, but with big quotation marks around voting, right? He is a dictator, but it sends the message: this is not okay, and Russia, you shouldn't be doing this. And sure, it's a tiny little gesture, but as Steve said, you put enough tiny small gestures together, you add them all up, and eventually you do get something.
Well, it's like all the people making donations or gathering supplies. Every little bit is your own personal gesture, but then it all adds up to a lot of things. So, yeah. No, I was,
100% agree.
Yeah.
Now the counter argument that a lot of people, we might get comments on this after, so I'm going to preempt those comments because I have a feeling I know what's coming. People will say, okay, but then why aren't you banning like the Americans for what they did in Iraq or the Israelis for what they did in Palestine? And I mean, sure, there's a lot of bad in the world, but I think we are now in a situation at a point in time where there's one of those rare clear moments, like moments of clarity where there's something that is clearly bad, like clearly unacceptable. This is about, and I'm an historian of the 20th century, so I feel I can speak about this with a little bit of knowledge. This is as clear an unprovoked act of aggression against another nation as can be, right? So for once, it actually is black and white. There's very little
and there's
nuance.
A clear
here.
moment to make such a statement right now.
Yeah.
Like it was like 2 weeks after the WTC, then it's like, that moment's not there. But right now is the moment to do such.
Sure, and whatever they do, they should not do what the Olympic Committee did and let them compete without showing their flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. I 100% agree. This is a moment where you have to draw a line in the sand, and I feel for people that may feel innocent, like Russians that may feel innocent that, I didn't vote for him or whatever else. But it is, I don't know, it is a time where the rest of the world has to send a message to them that they need to do something to, I don't know, communicate. It seems silly to say that because I know, like we all said, it's a dictatorship, so it's easier said than done on our end. Like, we can write our MPs. We have a reasonable expectation that if you go protest somewhere, you won't get injured. But I mean, it is one of those historic moments, I think, where there is a clear black and white issue. And I mean, I think every little bit's going to help.
Okay.
And the other one thing to throw in here is that if you're in any way thinking, what about the Russian 40K players? Maybe what about the Ukrainian 40K players?
Yeah,
what about the people in Ukraine who just want to have a room to go and play 40K and who can't because of the action against their nation at the moment? So don't feel sympathy for one group without feeling sympathy for the other, at least.
Yeah, I mean, this is less upbeat than our usual fare, but the Russians are dropping cluster munitions on hospitals right now. Like it's very serious.
Yeah,
and we can't look. Nike has said they're not selling their products to Russia anymore. Apple has said they're not selling their products to Russia anymore. As a 40K community, we cannot let Apple and Nike have the moral high ground.
That's right.
They're not morally stronger than us, surely.
Yeah.
When the company that runs sweatshops in East Asia.
Yeah, that's pushing it too far.
Careful. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my PMs are already going up. Yeah.
All right, so in the last few minutes, I want to ask Steve, because I've been dying to ask him this whole show, what are you working on right now? Don't say Tau. Don't say Tau.
Working on a new scheme for my Necrons, like just trying to get a little... they've come up out of the rock and the stone kind of feel, and then it's really hard to tell in this light, but getting these... I've really got to still do a lot of work on it, but trying to get the glow effect going on the old
Looks
super
awesome.
dark body, and then the glowing red, yellow, orange kind of deal on all the way.
Necrons lend themselves really well to those kinds of light effect.
Yeah. I love it, and it's hard to see on camera, and for people who are listening to the podcast later, it's impossible to see on camera.
I was going to say it's going to be real hard.
Yeah, but I'm really and it's blatantly stolen someone else's idea and just changed the colors up slightly, but just getting that really sort of so Necron Army is what I'm working on painting, and I've played a couple of games with them, and I play them like Space Wolves, so I just have to really adjust the way I'm using them. So I've gone with the Novok Dynasty because it's good in combat, but I'm just losing with them. So I don't know if it's because I'm terrible with them. I was just starting to get the hang of my Wolves and winning some games and on a bit of a roll, and then I switched it over to Necrons, and now I'm losing again. So that's what I'm working on.
All right, cool.
Well, Nick is working on Necrons as well. Aren't you, Nick?
Again, Nick?
Yeah. I have my Necrons. I just bought 18 score pack destroyers, and so I painted them up. I got, 12. I can't even, this is how pathetic I am right now. I don't even remember what I've ordered. I got 12, I think, Wraiths coming in, and more Necron stuff. I'm trying to, make sure I have, Locust Heavy Destroyers. I'm trying to make sure I have everything for whatever list, because I think they're in an interesting spot. I don't know. They're not, at the Tau Custodes area, but they're in this kind of, forgotten zone where it's oops, all OBSEC. Could any warriors or double OBSEC? So all of a sudden, if 3 warriors tow onto an objective, they're contesting it from 3 custodes. If they don't get intervened on, whatever. So I don't know. I thought between their points changes, core being splashed around, it is worth exploring a bit more in Necrons and what they can do. Maybe they have some counter meta play or whatever else. And they're evil robots, so they're fun. They're cool.
My brain isn't big enough to figure out the counter meta, but they're cool models. So it's it for me. I just like the models a lot.
Yeah.
Do you ever have this situation, Steve, where the doorbell rings and a package gets delivered and you open it and there's Warhammer inside and you forgot you'd ordered that? Because Nick and I were talking this week, and turns out it happens to us more often than it should.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, in New Zealand, the models cost like $4,000 each.
Yeah.
So no, that's never happened. Normally, if I order anything, I hear about it from my wife for quite a long time afterwards. So when that package arrives, it's just like, oh my god, thank God, relief! I haven't been ripped off. I've got the thing in my hands, because it cripples us financially for quite a while.
We'll never financially recover from this. You put out straws for all your kids, and the one with the short one's not going to university because of Warhammer.
That's right. Well, last week we put out straws for the kids, and the one with the short straw was being sold, or at least parts of it. So.
Yeah. I mean, but it's a particularly interesting time in the meta now. I mean, you got to adapt, right? I'm sure she'll understand.
Yeah, well, I said to her, she's like, but Dad, I need both my kidneys. And I was like,
No, you don't.
Necrons are cool models. Get it through your head. I need more of them. So
just whatever you do, don't decide that you want to run a lot of flayed ones, because those are expensive.
Yeah, if they're expensive for us, I imagine you have to remortgage your house over there for you to have it.
Yeah. And putting them together apparently isn't fun. So yeah, no,
Like, you have twins, don't you?
Yeah, twin daughters. They're 11 years old, and a boy.
Yeah, so they have 3 kidneys between the two of them. That's fine. I mean, that should work.
I'm a doctor.
That's right.
It's fine.
Yeah, he's a doctor, so it's fine.
They're identical twins. I keep saying to them, if one is gone, I probably won't even notice. You know, it's like
That's right.
it's just a matter of which one.
Yeah.
All
Right.
right.
Speaking of, I've got to go get him. Like they're standing at the school gate, going, "Daddy."
All right, Steve. We're
He
gonna
was
let
serious.
you go.
He's never coming.
Thanks very much for joining us again, Steve. As always, a pleasure to chat with you, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you for Francois and Nick as usual, and thank you everybody for watching and following us and subscribing and being supporters and patrons. And that's we'll see everybody next time. So thanks very much for joining.
Cheers.